Avoidants can change. They can actually heal. It may not seem like it. It may seem like they're stuck in their ways. And for some of them, they can choose to be stuck in their ways. But if the avoidant actually wants to change and they actually want to heal, they can absolutely do it. But you can't force them to. And no matter how badly you want them to change, no matter how much you love this person, if they aren't willing to put in the work themselves, if they aren't truly committed to healing and becoming secure, they're not going to do it. But change is definitely possible. See, avoidant attachment, it's an attachment style. It's a learned behavior from childhood. It's how they learn to cope with emotional and relationship stress. But like any learned behavior, it can be unlearned and replaced with new behavior. It's not a personality disorder. Personality disorders, well, they can be managed, but they're always going to be there. No, avoidant attachment is an attachment style. Now, there are obstacles to changing this attachment style because the person who's avoidant really struggles to self-reflect. And self-reflection is required to change because you have to see where you went right, where you went wrong, own your feelings, own your fears, and take accountability. That's something that avoidants have learned to do, to suppress it. Because the way they've learned to cope with problems is to not cope with them, is to not deal with it, is to run from it, stick their head in the sand like an ostrich. But they absolutely can change. And what it really requires in order to change is a commitment to a new behavior and follow through. The human mind learns in repetition. The more you repeat a behavior, especially when there's an emotional trigger involved, the more automatic that behavior becomes. So when you do a behavior all the way from childhood, when you have an emotional stimulus, it becomes routine, reflexive, automatic. For example, when a situation becomes emotionally intimate, the avoidant has learned from childhood to pull back, to run away, to shut down. Now, that's a reaction. The key is that the avoidant would have to work on becoming responsive rather than reacting. Because when you're reacting, you are behaving from the amygdala, which is the emotional center of the brain. Your emotions are controlling your behavior in an automatic way. When you respond, you're using your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain. Now, you're informed by your emotions, but your decision making is being done by your prefrontal cortex. So that is what emotional intelligence involves, by the way, is the connection between the two parts of the brain, and decision making that involves both, and self-reflection. So whenever an emotional stimulus happens, a trigger, the person that feels the anxiety, which avoidants do feel anxiety, has to ask themselves, how do I respond to this rather than react? And consistently responding rather than reacting is actually how you create new automatic behaviors. The more you do a new behavior, the more easy and automatic that behavior becomes, and the old avoidant behaviors of the past begin to fade away. There is actually a big study done back in the 1970s that shows that a change in behavior, a consistent change in behavior, results in a change of mood and emotions. In other words, when you act secure on the outside and you consistently do so, you may feel insecure on the inside for a while, but eventually your insides, your emotions will catch up. You will start to feel secure on the inside too. It's essentially fake it till you make it. Now, a consistent change in behavior should also be coupled with therapy for somebody who's severely avoidant. But as long as they're committed to do it and they're actually having the willpower to follow through, they can heal. That said, they have to want it. Because if they don't truly want it, they're not going to change, because it is emotionally difficult for them to face their feelings, face their fears, face all the things they've been running from. That's hard. It is very, very hard, but they can do it. But if they can't commit to it, if they don't want it badly enough, if they want to continue to cater to their avoidance, in other words, if they want to continue behaving in the way that makes them feel good by running from stuff, they can continue this behavior for a lifetime. And no matter how much you love this person, no matter how much you want an emotionally intimate relationship with them, it may never change. It's all entirely up to them. Now, typically, in most cases, the avoidant has to hit rock bottom in order to get to the place where they are actually motivated to do the work. Now, rock bottom, it doesn't mean that they lose their house or job or home or anything of the sort. It usually means that they lose a person in their lives that they actually love and care about, and they lose this person because of their own actions. That can usually be the wake-up call that an avoidant needs to be motivated enough to change, because the pain of losing this person is so great that they're willing to actually do whatever it takes to not have to go through that again. So can they do it? Yes. Will they do it? It's up to the individual, because you can't change anybody. You can't make anybody feel in any particular way, and you can't force anybody to behave in any particular way. You can only control yourselves. Now, we can create an environment where it's easier for other people to choose healthy choices, but they ultimately have to be the ones to choose it. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. So yes, avoidance absolutely can change. They absolutely can, and I see it all the time. But it is up to the individual. And if they choose not to change, don't blame yourself. It's their own choice.